right? First and foremost, I want to give our praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bashim Yahawashi, Bashim Kodash, second link of Devon, as an apostle of G-Mess of well. And the peace, blessings, salutations to the hopefully elect out there, consists of so called Negroes, Latinos, Hispanics, Native American Indians. Salaki, this is the Shaquaka Ra from GMS Virginia, coming back at you again. Was very be edified. So, as the title states, Yahawashi is making us men again. Let me start off with, let me see what this says right here. Give me one moment. All right. So it says it was Solomon 1:1. It says the search for justice, right? So first verse. Love justice, you rulers of the world. And we ultimately know through Yahawashi, once he throws down the so-called white man, through him, we're going to be joint heirs and joint rulers with them on this earth. It says, so again, it's, before it happens, we're preparing ourselves mentally, spiritually, and physically, you know. So one thing for sure, we're separating ourselves from evil, wicked, foolishness, vanity, bullshit, and ultimately the so-called white man and his whole infrastructure. We're getting a backbone. And I have a list of things which I'm going to go through because through Yahawashi, we're learning how to be men, rulers, and upright men. And while everybody, men and women, they can becoming worse due to the fact that 2/3 of our people love this system and been given to a reprobate mind, vile affections, and they're coming lesser and lesser and worse. So we're separating ourselves from the 2/3 and ultimately from these people. So again, we accept the fact that we're not liked, we're not part of this, we're not a part of this society, and people are going to look at us different. So there's no need to fit in. We don't want nothing part of this society. We just try to skate on by, ride along, and just do what we have to do. We render to Caesar what's rendered to Caesar, right? So it says, set your mind sincerely on the Lord and look for Him with all honesty, because Scripture talks about dishonesty, double-minded, and wavering, and being shaky. Through Yahawashi, we have a solid foundation, and we're not to be the hell, Salaki. We are not to be moved.
Right, but this was never right.
Salaki. Wait one moment.
Jesus made it chill.
So, Salaki again. So it says, those who do not test Him will find Him, and that's our Lord Yahawashi. Because for instance, our people don't believe, and our people, are shaky. You know, they don't really trust in anything but their own selves. Half of the time, that's not it either. We understand we are this is the hypocritical people. I always talk about they love God such and such, but you can just tell how their actions show forth what they are, right? So He will show Himself to those who trust Him, and what is that? Through us building, growing up, being manful, you know, um, not decaying, becoming better, growing, becoming better mindset, better thinkers, better teachers, better speakers, better brothers, and better overall. Eating better, knowing our flaws and knowing our weaknesses, right? And more so, again, separating ourselves from people that are no value, right? Bitches, men, etc. Little kids, children, etc. And situations, right? You know how to back out of a deal. So what separate people from the Most High Yahweh power by Yahweh Shah, and if we are foolish enough to test him, his power will put us to shame, right? And you've seen a lot of guys, that have came in. Basically, they didn't fully believe it, didn't know what they were into, right? And now look at them now. Wisdom would never be at home with anyone who is deceitful or a slave of sin, right? You gotta understand the society that we live in is geared to do everything against the Bible and ultimately pretty much acknowledge that the so-called white man is a god and he's the man of the hour, the high tower, right? Verse 5: Everyone who is holy has learned to stay away from deceitful people, right? And the only way you're gonna really, how you say, know how to stay and do certain things is, the growing of through the growing of the spirit through Yahweh Shah. He will not stay around when foolish thoughts are being expressed, and that's why the apostles always talk about debating, and it's just that going back and forth shit, right? Because it gets you nowhere. Just being around people that are opt to change and opt to switch. 1 minute they're talking about this and then, and you see them again, they're talking about completely something else. Topsy turvy. I'm saying that right correctly, and it's all over the place, right? He will not feel comfortable when injustice is done, right? So we understand, this is not a place that we marvel at, because it tells you, I think it's Ecclesiastes, the third chapter talks about, be not when you see oppression happening in the place, you shouldn't be. Matter of fact, let me get it. I said, come on. Ecclesiastes 5 and 8, my bad. If thou seest the oppression of the poor and violent perverting of judgment and justice in the province, marvel not at the matter. And we understand, it's a spirit of folly and mirth. Well, the mirth is crashing down. So a lot of people is really having to face their biggest fears, right, of reality. But time passed. Everybody had this mindset of party, 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 and living their life like a rock star, and fun, 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 and making my way downtown. For he that is higher than the highest regardeth, and there be higher than they, right? So done with that. Let me get this real quick. Hold on. Let me see what this brings up. So this is ChatGPT, right? Important life skills a man should have. And this is what, prior to us coming into this truth, we thought we were created to be a degenerate, heathenistic, Gentiles, stupid, an animal, less than an animal, complete degenerates. Because the so-called white man knows who we are. He Psalms 83. He has purposely sought out to cut us off from being a nation, right? And through the trials and the snares and the traps in this system, he's been able to pretty much program the true indeed biblical Hebrew Israelites into becoming heathens, right? So it says practical skills, right? And through Yahweh Shah, we're learning these things as men, right? Because I don't give a fuck what you in anything you do, right? As a man, you have to really know how to manage. Well, is going to tell you, because before you can really do anything in this world, you have to really know how to do certain things. So and the average guy today, they don't have these things. Prior, the older generations, men knew these things, and it was kind of a necessity to know, right? Practical skills, basic cooking. A lot of men don't know how to cook. A lot of men, and one thing for certain, these companies have been able to get rich because due to the fact that everything is fast. Men don't know how to cook, women don't know how to cook, and kids are not taught at a young age how to cook. And it's all bullshit. Because I remember, now, all jokes aside, um, I was cooking at a very young age. I'm not saying I knew how to cook, but my, my, how you say, my, well, shit. If I wanted to eat, we all know certain households wasn't the best, but you get what I'm saying. A lot of kids have a desire to be taught. Well, kids, the Bible tells you about being, you're supposed to groom a kid and raise a kid as it should go, right? So basic cooking, being able to cook a few solid meals, show self sufficiency and care for health. Supposed to eat for health, and one thing for certain, you know, a lot of women talk shit about men is because a lot of men depend on women, and that's also due to the fact that Esau turned things upside down. He pretty much had it that men be babied and spoiled and looked as little babies forever, while the daughters was, pretty much taught to be grown and sassy and really like fast and dependent. You can read all of that in the Willie Lynch letter. So being able to cook a few solid meals shows self-sufficiency and care for health. Majority of men, they don't know how to cook. They don't eat for their health. They just eat, just to eat. And I remember, we all fuck up. We all did dumb shit as a kid. A lot of us used to get on our bikes and go to the nearest corner store or troop into the corner store and get chips. And, we had the canned sodas. Chips were cheap as hell. I know, shit, man. Chips used to be 25 cents, Um, $1 could, man, you get your bag of chips, a soda, a juice. If you want something sweet with that, you get an ice cream sandwich, whatever, and you still could get something else out of that. And I know $2, $3 you can get you a whole meal. Especially those who had the little corner stores that had the deli inside of it. You can get you a nice little meal, especially if they was cool with you. Um, so home maintenance, right? Fixing a leaky faucet, hanging shelves, or changing a light fixture. Majority of men don't know how to do that as well, right? Car maintenance, know how to change your tire, check oil, and understand basic repairs. Um, I'm gonna just say for this, right? I'm not a mechanic, but one thing for certain, well, I'm gonna just say on my behalf, I drive Hondas, and I drive pre. I drive the 2.4 engines. Easily to manage the 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 things that more so go out. Your starter, your alternator, your AC, certain sensors, and certain um, things that go out. You know, I'm able to change. Of course, you got the transmission. You have the your motor, which it's good to know certain people that know about those and or know how to change those as well. So as a man, you should be networking. All this quiet mouth shit that's not gonna get you nowhere neither. So for financial literacy, budgeting, saving, investing, taxes, and managing debt. Right, because you got to understand this is the so-called white man's infrastructure. If you know anything about taxes, not taxes, credit, um, Using your money. A lot of brothers know different, gifts and different talents about those things, right? But more so, you should know how to budget, save. If you can't invest, invest. You got to pay your taxes. You got to manage your debt. Things come up. It all happens to us. One thing for sure, for I know for sure, Esau loves when they send you something, a bill in the mail. They love for you not to pay for it or ignore it. Throw it, open it up, bill, throw it away, and then months later, they sent you a bill for maybe 150, and now that motherfucker's $1,000. Esau love that shit. Um, 5, self defense, basic knowledge to protect yourself or others if needed. A lot of men don't do that. A lot of niggas, especially niggas, man. They think just because they have a gun, that all be all. But a lot of niggas don't know how to shoot. A lot of niggas don't know how to clean their gun. A lot of niggas don't know how to clean or maintain their weaponry, or even reload it. Um, a lot of dudes don't realize that can be very dangerous for you, even having that on your side as well. So it's just it's when you're talking about hand to hand combat, CQC, close quarter combat weaponry. It's good to know. And again, every state is different. So as a man, you ought to know these things, right? And even transporting weaponry. 6 first aid and CPR could save a life, literally. Um, Again, herbs, medicines, etc. Majority of the men of our nation and women, they don't know these things. But I'm more so focusing on the men that might throw on women just periodically, right? Bear with me. Time management. This is 7. Prioritizing tasks. A lot of jigs don't know how to manage their time. One thing for sure was going on. Men, the heads are down all the time due to their phones, social media, pussy, and we understand this world is sexually driven. I, you know, through Yahawashi Shai, I've even gotten better at it. Um, what else? What else? Trying to study, read more, and what's another thing too? A lot of men, the seek, the wanting of knowledge, the wanting to become a better man and speak more eloquent and be better is not there. One thing for sure, Esau doesn't promote that. So, basically Esau promotes a thug, hood, street nigga. So that a lot of times that's what our people love to do so. And due to our people following these aspects in TVs and the television and the music, it has them looking very bad. So avoid procrastination and hit deadlines. Because again, you got to set goals, you got to strategize, you got to organize, you got to write things down. Um, 8, navigating and reading the map. I remember when I was a kid, a lot of people used to take me with them because when I was young, I could basically, with me, you would never get lost. Um, Visuals was a thing of mine. If something caught my eye, I would not forget it. So um, I have used maps. Um, it's good to know a GPS. A lot of older people, they don't know how to work the GPS per se. More so maybe a map, but overall, it's good to know your surrounding, your environment. Um, I'm out here in Virginia. I kind of know Virginia, and it's due to the jobs I work. I was able to travel, so I kind of know Virginia, the whole west side of Virginia, talking about the mountains, the rural areas, Northern Virginia, and even 757 somewhat, right? It helps to have spatial awareness. It does, because you never know what could happen, right? Um, like for instance, a lot of men. Sometimes they venture out, travel, they move to try to get find work, etc. But basically, all I'm saying is good to know your environment. It's good to know what's going on in different cities, somewhat to know what's really going on, just in case you may have to make a move. Right? You never know. Like every time I go to certain places, I ask, how what's the dynamics of a place. So non-sewing basics. This is uh, this made me think about women. Sewing basics, button popped off, hem coming loose. You can handle it. Um, right off back, my grandmother knew how to sew. Used to sew a lot of my cousins and etc. Certain things. And even when my grandmother was a little bit younger, she's old and she's up there in age, so she can't sew anything now. But I remember certain things I used to pay her for, and I would, your grandma, can you fix these pants, etc. Buttons came off. I would take it to my grandmother, and these girls today they don't know how to do shit. I remember, um, the bishop came down here and saw one of his cousins, girl cousins, what was it, crocheting, and it kind of amazed him. And again, when I was a kid, I remember girls, that was, you know, girls used to really had took one thing I remember, so-called black women, they used to wear nice head wraps back in the day. I'm talking about the so-called black women. I remember, I'll never forget because I'll never forget, a lot of so-called black girls used to wrap their hair up. They come to school, and I'm not talking about that ghetto bonnet. Nah, I'm talking about a nice head wrap. And I remember the school started to demonize it. I remember then dudes they started to bring the wear their do rags up, and Esau demonized that as well, wave caps, etc. One thing I can say, Jake used to take care of the head, the hair, the hygiene more so what you see today. Even the so-called black woman. Um, Ten negotiation, right? Um, I'm gonna for jobs, buying a car, or just reaching a fair agreement. Because this whole world is a business. This whole world is, um, man, full of merchants. Let me see something, right? Um, Let me see what this says. Because you got to understand, we're in a fucked up society. So let me see. Sirach 37 and 11. Let me see what it says. Neither consult with the woman touching her of whom she is jealous. Matter of fact, let me get this in 37. She's, let me see what it says in the GMT. Sirach 37 and 11. Don't ask a woman for advice about a rival of hers, a coward about war. And, our people, man, a lot of majority, Jake talked that bad shit, but we're going to see, a merchant about a bargain, a buyer about selling, a stingy person about gratitude, a cruel person about kindness, a lazy person about work, a casual worker about finishing a job, a lazy slave about a difficult task. And I read all of these, Salaki. I read all of this because going back to what it just said right here, negotiation intent, right? When every job or business in a line of business that you have set up in America, right? You're always going to run across these people here. A woman. Every these women have come in these workplaces and they're just jealous about each other. They're always competing, and more so, Women are trying to dethrone men. All right. So a coward about war, a merchant about bargain. Let me see what this word merchant. Merchant. Man. You said merchant, a person. A merchant is a personal business that buys and sells goods or services for profit, acting as a trader or dealer in commerce. So let me go back real quick. Yeah, a merchant about a bargain, a buyer about selling, a stingy person about gratitude. Because every majority of things in this world, everybody is quick to sell. Nobody's about really saving. Everybody's trying to get rich. Everybody is selfish. They're greedy. They're pricks. They're assholes. And that's just the world that we live in, right? Um, people are cruel. Like the scripture says, um, the love of many shall wax cold. A lot of people are lazy as hell. A lot of people are lazy. And Esau did that too with the handouts and the benefits and the food stamps, Section 8, etc. A casual worker about finishing a job. Yeah, a lot of people, again, they have no ambition. And yeah, a lazy slave about a difficult. Everybody wants everything easy. They want to handle, right? So again, going back to 10, negotiation, and it goes underneath the skill, the practical skills. So 10, negotiation for jobs, buying a car, because again, hey, it's competing. When you want a job where you got your own business and you're getting contracts, it's about competition. Buying a car, you got a lot of motherfuckers that are tricksters that'll sell you a car that's fucked up, has a fucked up transmission, fucked up motor, sensor problems, etc. A lot of these people, they go to these car damn, what the hell you call them? Ah, what's some fucking things? Those auctions. Yeah, 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 the auctions. The cars be fucked up, man. You know, have a bunch of problems. Like for instance, right? You can buy a car. And one, and Apostle Tahar even said this. Jacob just look on the outside of a car. They don't look underneath the hood. They don't look underneath the car for rust. They don't look at nothing. They don't check the engine. They don't check the engine oil. They don't check the transmission oil. They don't check the coolant or nothing. They just, oh, this is a nice car. I want it, right? That's why I say me, I drive Honda. When I open up a hood of a Honda, I know what I'm looking at. I see the alternator. I see the starter. I can see the AC compressor. I can see the belt. Um, I can see the air filter. I can check the oil. If it's not what the fuck you call it, a manual, you got the transmission dipstick right there. Um, you have the car running. You hear how it sounds. Smoke coming out from the back of the pipe. Um, check engine lights. Rust on the bottom, etc. Because again, you have to know what you're buying. It's an investment or just reaching a fair agreement. Because everybody in this world is trying to get a bargain over you. They're trying to get over. So it's very important to know these things. And through Yahawashi, as men, and I can, how you say, agree with this. Um, when growing up, I didn't have no. I, my family was fucked up, but overall, I knew a lot of genuine men of, how you say, men that taught me a lot of things. But overall, what I want to say is, I, I being around, being in this truth and being around brothers that's like minded. That's how I really have grown, and I put myself around more so people that are um, kind of, you're gonna know your people that you know in this world, because you got to somewhat know people of this world, but you know how to cla- classify and differentiate niggas and the true niggas, right? The good black folk and the bad black folk, right? So it says mental and emotional skills, social. It's a couple more. Um, yeah. So it's mental and emotional skills, right? Number one, emotional regulation. Understand and manage your emotions, especially under stress. Let me see something real quick. Real quick. So let me see. Proverbs 16:32. He that is slow to anger is better than the mighty, and he that ruleth his spirit than he that taketh a city. Right. Um, Galatians, because self control is very important, mortifying your members, etc. So, bear with me one moment. Galatians 5, I'm just read 16. Then I say, then walk in the spirit, and you shall not fulfill the lust of the flesh. Right. Um, Let me see what this says. Second Peter chapter 1 and 5. And besides this, giving all diligence, add to your faith virtue, into virtue knowledge, right? Into knowledge temperance. You can read Wisdom of Solomon, the seventh chapter, if I'm not mistaken, about when Yahawashi um talked about wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, and him attending wisdom and learning a lot of things, right? Into knowledge temperance, into temperance patience, into patience and godliness, into godliness brotherly kindness, into brotherly kindness charity, right? For if these things be in you and and abound, they make you that you shall neither be barren nor unfruitful in the knowledge of our Lord Hamashiach Yahushua. But he that lacketh these things is what? Blind and cannot see afar off, and have forgotten that he was purged from his old sins. So we have we have had a lot of examples, and I'm pretty sure it's gonna be much more. In Lord's will, we don't fall into that lot. Very scareful thing, very fearful. One thing for certain, again, like these life skills I'm speaking on, and as life skills for men, through Yahweh Shah, we're becoming better. And again, 2/3 and the reprobates that's even in this truth, which don't really understand. Basically, like you just said, diligence, faith, virtue, knowledge, temperance, patience, patience, godliness, brotherly kindness, and to brotherly kindness, charity. Right? If these things don't abound in you, so like if these things abound in you, you'll grow and become better. You mean being balanced. But if it doesn't abound in you, hey, you're gonna pretty much fall right back to your bullshit. Basically, going back to your old way, and that old way is what? A heathen, because the programming of this society is for our people to be what? Heathens, and not to be Israelites. And being a Hebrew Israelite is more than just saying that you're a Hebrew Israelite. So conflict resolution: stay calm, listen, and communicate to solve disputes. And through Yahweh Shah, we're able to do these things. 2/3, they can't. What is it? It says the lust of the flesh, the eyes of life. What is it? Blood. What is it? Blood, murder, envy, quarrel, etc. And that's what our people are full of. And this is why Esau can easily dress up as a nigga, dress up as a gangbanger, and start shooting down Jake to rouse up certain other gangs because what? You're full of hatred. You're not calm. You don't listen. You don't communicate, and you don't solve disputes. Y'all are just angry with each other, right? But one thing for sure, Esau can smack you niggas left and right, up and down, all you niggas, and fucking Luke can kick your ass, but you niggas don't do that a goddamn thing to the Edomites, right? So it says three critical thinking, analyze situation and make reasoned decisions. Our people ain't got that, right? Four, self awareness, and you get that by knowing that you're a Hebrew Israelite, and also listening to the prophets, and also attending to this book, learning who you are. And you got, and it's sad because you have these girls. I mean, I'm just focused on women. You have a broad, a shorty that would be in her 30s and had kids, got a dude, and then all of a sudden she'll wake up and say, you know what, I gotta go find myself. Well, it's not self-awareness. Because you say you're supposed to train up a child as the way it should go. That's scripture talks about, a horse not trained and the kid left to himself pretty much is very dangerous, man. And unfortunately, this is what has happened to a lot of our people. They've been able to grow up in their rooms, just be pampered, coddled, do what they want in the household, raised up with these mothers, a lot of bad behavior, which was praised and rewarded instead of being corrected. So you got a lot of weirdos. Shit, man, be honest with you, man. If you think like being a gangster is a fucking weirdo. Being a thug is a weirdo. More so, our people are weird. Our people, Jake has become weird. It's scripture talks about we're the salt of the earth, the inventor of all things, right? And now look at us. Jake is fucking weird, man. Jake have become rock stars, Lil Uzi Verts. Just bug the fuck out, man, completely. Weirdos, nuts, buggies. So self-awareness, know your strengths, your flaws, values, and triggers. And see, Jake, instead of really sitting down and focusing on these things of ours, they run right into these things that trigger them. They run the things of no value. They use their flaws and they play victim. Resilience, five, resilience, the ability to recover from failure, rejection, and hardship. That's one thing our people don't have, resilience. Our people are fucking weak. And one of that is the ability to play victim and to play, basically, you grew up, I'm gonna be honest with you, man. Being growing up with your mother. See, women, they always, I used to see my mom do this shit a lot. Um, Basically, if a problem happened, she'll try to explain A to Z. I used to hate that shit. Like, long story short, um, an opportunity, and if it didn't pull through, she would try to explain, oh, that, yo, we ain't, you ain't get it. Fuck you talking for? Is yes or no. But thing about it is, see, resilience is not taught to our people. Coping, what is it? Cigarettes, weed, uh, degeneracy, stupid music, stupid movies, and etc. That has been our go-to when we fall, when we're rejected. A woman can sit there and play a song, Glorilla, talking about fuck you niggas, right? Fuck y'all bitch ass niggas and fuck my baby daddy, right? And instead of learning through hardship, the curses do, the curses, because the Lord has put curses on us. So, and instead of acknowledging and considering why is this, and it's even better because this time that we're in now, the Lord has sent prophets out there to forewarn our people. But again, our people don't do so. Um, Damn, 40 minutes, damn. So discipline, six, discipline in which our people don't have. Stick to your goals even when motivation fades. You got it, and see that's really overrides a lot of things. Discipline, because I'm telling you, man, shit is shaky in Babylon the Great. You might have a goal set up, but it just goes up and down. But you got to have that discipline. Just like in order for the kingdom, for us to see the kingdom, it takes discipline because man, shit, man, days you can wake up, man, oh man, you get certain ailments and certain things happen. You know, we all done gone through this. Seven, active listening, pay attention and understand people before responding. A lot. This world has a bad, um, you know, this is very. This happens a lot, and I hear it a lot. Active listening. Nobody, everybody wants to talk over each other. They just feel like they have to get their point across, and it gets sloppy. Eight, empathy. See the world through others' eyes. It deepens your relationships. So hey, this reminds me exactly of the relationship with the so-called black man and black woman. There's no empathy in it. It's just a blame game and bickering and nitpicking, right? So social and professional skills, effective communication, speak clearly. Our people don't. Yabba gibba gobble gooba good Saturday, Wednesday, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, Merc, Tuesday, all that stupid shit, man. And I'm not trying to sit here and say be a fucking English genius, right? Because that's not our language, not our language by far. But damn it, act like you can fucking talk. And it's bad enough, I work around fucking complete Edomite hicks, rednecks, man. And honestly, I don't understand one word they fucking say. They probably get mad at me because I literally got to say, huh? What are you talking? I can't understand you. I got to get out my truck and I got to go up. I seriously don't know what the fuck they're talking about. So I see a lot of times, this one of the reasons why Jake talked the way they do is because we've been around these fucking Edomites, man. So effective communication, speak clearly, confidently, and appropriately. Yeah, Jake don't, I communicate, what is it? And I've gotten better with that too. A lot of Jake don't came and look at you in your eyes, and you know, uh, your posture. It's man. You can look on YouTube and see like the rules of engagement, communication. It's a lot, man. Sitting up straight, talking. Body language. It's a lot. Um, but a lot of Jake don't know that. Public speaking, know how to present yourself and your ideas to a group. And Jake don't know. Jake don't. Jake is just ghetto. Jake is just weird. The heathens, man. Bitches come out ass naked, and niggas have their whole ass out. Niggas they just dress like degenerates, man. And then when they open their mouth, it's like, well, damn, you know, they go to fucking. There it goes. What's that fucking That's what is it? What's that? Italian. What the fuck? What do you say? So they call themselves gangsters. It's a very fucking depressing. It says three, networking, building authentic connections personally and professionally. And our people don't know how to do that. Four, job interview skills, sell yourself without overselling. Yeah, yeah. Um, and these are all the skills that's good to know. Good, and again through Yahawashi, we we get these things. We work and we get better. But overall, 2/3 they don't get it. And another thing too, and see this, then when you put two and two together, this is why you really have to see. Really, this is why Esau really has to put us down and stop this truth, because just like when you read about King Solomon's rule, all the nations were in peace, astonished by just the eloquentness of Yahawashi. Can you imagine? What scripture is that? I think Ezekiel 16. Pretty much the Lord decked us out and made us a beautiful nation. Can you just, well, ultimately, the world is going to see how beautiful the Lord really made us and how eloquent we are as a nation, ultimately in the kingdom. But just overall, matter of fact, let me get that. Let me get that real quick. What nation is there? Nation. Let me see. Uh, all right, so Deuteronomy. All right, Deuteronomy 4:1, right? I'm going to read all the way down to the point. Now, therefore, hearken, O Israel, unto the statutes and unto the judgment which I teach you, for to do them, that ye may live, and go in and possess the land which the Lord, our power of your fathers, giveth you. That's why, again, listen, knowing yourself, self awareness, and knowing your history. Um, Two, you shall not add unto the word which I command you, neither shall you diminish aught from it. And a lot of our people have. That you may keep the commandments of the Lord your power, which I command you. Three, your eyes have seen what the Lord did because of Baal Peor, for all the men that follow Baal Peor, the Lord thy power, have destroyed them from among you. But ye that did cleave unto the Lord your power are alive, every one of you this day. Five, behold, I have taught you statute and judgment, even as the Lord my power command me, that ye should do so in the land whither ye go to possess it. Six, keep therefore and do them, for this is your wisdom and your understanding in the sight of the nations, which shall hear all these statutes and say, surely this great nation is a wise and understanding people. So this is what really everybody of the whole world should be saying to our people right now, right? But it's the complete opposite. Why? Because we're cursed. The Lord put the curses on us. And this is the outcome, right? So it says, I'm gonna read that over again. So this, like all these um the life skills I'm reading, you know, we would know this if we what? Kept our law, statutes, and commandments. We will be a beautiful nation of people. So Deuteronomy 4:6, keep therefore and do them, for this is your wisdom and your understanding in the sight of the nation, which shall hear all these statutes and say, surely this great nation is a wise and understanding people. For what nation is there so great who have the most high power Yahweh so nigh unto them? As for the Lord, our power is in all things that we call upon him for. And what nation is there so great that have statutes and judgments so righteous as all this law, which I set before you this day? Only take heed to thyself and keep thy soul diligently, lest thou forget the things which thine eyes have seen, and lest they depart from thy heart all the days of thy life. But teach them thy sons and thy sons' sons. So we're supposed to be, teach us our children, this our history. But due to the programming of America, Babylon the Great, our kids only know the so-called white man's history and his victory and his conquer, his conquest. And Esau wants you to blatantly know what he did to our people. He conquered you niggas and Hispanics, Latinos, Hispanic, Native Americans, West Indians, right? So again, Where was I? 5, leadership and network, leadership and teamwork. Be dependable, accountable, and know when to lead or follow. That's very man. Come on. In order to be a leader, you have to follow. Simple and plain. There's no leadership and there's no teamwork amongst our people. Gotta go back to the Willie Lynch letter. Life orientation skills. Setting boundaries. You know how and when to say no. Asking for help. Strength isn't never needing help. It's knowing when and how to ask. See that? Teamwork. Decision making. Choose based on logic, values, and long term thinking, not for the moment. And through us, a lot of men being raised with their mothers, they don't have no logic, they don't have no value, and they don't think long term. They think right there, quick. 4, living alone, cleaning, cooking, budgeting, managing life on your own. Because you start to realize, hey, like Paul said, if, not to seek a woman, if I'm roughly paraphrasing, and if you have wives, be as if you don't have none, right? You got to really understand, you might have women behind you or with you, but she truly doesn't understand what we have to go through. So you really got to understand in this thing of ours, this truth, you're really alone. You're alone. And don't be sitting there talking with your booby baby, your girl, your shorty, whatever, and thinking you're gonna be pillow talking or couch talking, and you think she's gonna understand what we're going through. No, that's why we have men, other brothers that's like minded, you know. And again, if you women are offended, you can get the fuck off this channel. It is what it is. 4, living alone, cleaning, cooking, budgeting, managing life for your own. Because you got to remember, hey, like my boy uh, Robert De Niro said in Heat, you don't be attached to anything that can leave you in 30 seconds. Roughly paraphrase. I don't know the phrase. But yeah, because you got to understand, women can leave you at, they can just wake up and hey, it's not for me. Salute. And she's out of there. And so as a man, you got to know how to clean, hygiene. As a man, you got to someone know how to cook. You got to know how to budget. You got to know how to manage your life on your own. You got to know how to manage yourself. 5, relationship management. Romantic or platonic, know how to build and sustain healthy ones. See that? So, a couple more, I'm going to wrap it up. Um, and again, those were you were edified. Um, First Corinthians chapter 16, watch ye and stand fast in faith. Quit you like men, be strong, right? Psalms chapter 1 and 1. Blessed is the man that walketh not in the counsel of the ungodly, nor standeth in the ways of sinners, nor sitteth in the seat of the scornful. But his delight is in the law of the Lord, and in his law doeth he meditate day and night. And he shall be like a tree planted by the rivers of the water, that bringeth forth his fruit in his season. His leaf also shall not wither, and whatsoever he do shall prosper. And that goes on to basically the life skills. Ultimately, the life skills that we are acquiring of Yahawashi. And again, going back to what I was saying earlier, you know, Esau doesn't want this. He doesn't want our people to be like this or have these life skills, you know, because really, the whole world will start to realize the so-called white man is a goddamn devil. He's the fucking devil of the earth. The devil that the Bible speaks of, man. He's the problem of the earth. But again, since Esau has painted and destroyed our image and got the whole world thinking that we are the problem of the earth with niggas, spicks, wetbacks, we're taking jobs, we're bringing drugs here, with criminals causing crime, basically the problem of America, right? He's justified in doing what he do as he will, and he can go along lying and deceiving and setting up more left-handed magic to set up his new world order. But it says, the Angali are not so, but are like chaff, which the wind driveth away. You get the point. So Titus 2, let me see when we start. Yeah, young men 6. Young men likewise, you can yeah, Titus 2 and 6. More the ones before is about women. Verse before is about women. Young men likewise exhort to be sober minded. In all things showing thyself a pattern of good works and doctrine, showing uncorruptness, gravity, sincerity, sound speech, that cannot be condemned, and he that is of the contrary part may be ashamed, having no evil thing to say of you. So, a pattern of good works. That's pretty much. I'm not gonna keep going. Pretty much got the point. So I'm going to wrap this thing up. Those who use edified. Hey, shalom.